Can I have a motion to resume public session? Ms. Kais, Mr. Banowski, all in favor? All in favor? All right, the vote is unanimous. We're now back in public session. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and we're going to begin now with our GC Pride Awards.
All right, good evening, President Coffey, Vice President Richards, Superintendent Daly, and the Gates Chi-Lite Board of Education. My name's Dr. Zanowski. I'm the principal of Gates Chi-Lite Middle School. I am here this evening to recognize several students for their leadership and just going above and beyond in so many different facets of our building. We have 3 students in attendance tonight, so students, come on up. Come on up if you receive an award. We're here to brag about you. We have a couple others that weren't able to make it due to extracurricular sports commitments. But here we have Mr. Lucas Lamb, Mr. Milo Messina, and Miss Brielle Rosette. These students represent our building on district level committees. They achieve above and beyond in their coursework. They're leaders in every single extracurricular activity, and representative behind us is many, many clubs and extracurricular activities in our building. And they're really the epitome of the Spartan way and what we strive to be, and they're an excellent reflection of our school community and our overall community. So please join me in congratulating these 3 young, exceptional leaders in the reception of this award this evening.
Thank you guys and congratulations. Families and or staff, if you want to take pictures of your exceptional young humans, feel free to go on over.
Dr. Zanowski, I think we have another. Dan, another student just came in. Another student just came in. No?
No.
Okay. No? No?
Congratulations again, you guys. So now we're going to move forward to agenda changes.
We have some additions to action items this evening. We have a couple MOAs and transportation contracts.
Thank you. Next is our board president comments. So I just wanted to take a few minutes to welcome our middle school students, their families, the staff, and everybody who has worked to develop them into such good leaders. We appreciate you guys being here, taking time out of your week, and all the work you guys do for your school. We just are starting back up after our spring break, knowing that it's a time for everybody to kind of get back into routines, reestablish what their goals are, and have ourselves move forward to the second half of the school year. So thank you everybody at home and at school for all your hard work. And we are going to be entering in the next few days into Music in Our Schools Month. So there's lots and lots of work going on for all sorts of different concerts, groups of all different grade levels and buildings working together. So it's always an exciting time as we're still in kind of that cold, gray winter weather to have different things to look forward to that our kids in our community work on together. Do we have any points of interest? Mr. Moscato?
Thank you. I've lived in the district for well over 45 years, and the residents have given me the honor and the privilege of being a board member for 22 of those years. One of the things you need to know is when it's time to go, and I've decided not to seek another term. And I'm making the announcement so that people who are interested can get their petitions and start the process. I would encourage anybody who cares about children and their education and their well-being to take a chance and run for the board. But I want to thank this board. I want to thank the staff. You know, I've had a great 6 years in this section. The first 16 years are pretty good too. but like I say, there's always a time to say goodbye. But thank you to everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moscato. Do we have any additional points of interest? All right, thank you very much. Do we have any reports of meetings? Okay, that moves us forward to visitor comments portion of the meeting. The Gates Chili Central School District Board of Education invites public comment at this time. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. We ask that individuals state their name and address prior to comments and utilize the podium and microphone to address the board. Although the board will not respond directly to individual comments at this time, items brought to the attention of the board may be taken under consideration for future response or action. In order to comply with laws related to confidentiality, we ask that issues related to specific school district personnel or students be brought to the attention of the superintendent of schools privately. The board reserves the right to terminate a speaker's comments if his or her comments are in excess of 3 minutes, are repetitive, or are not appropriate for discussion in an open public forum. We have one visitor comment this evening, and that's Tracy McGinnity. Thank you for your time. Our next section is moving us to reports, so we have our middle school update.
All right. At this time, anybody presenting? Milo, that's you. Brielle, that's you. Awesome. So, President Coffey, Vice President Richards, Superintendent Daly, Gates Chili Board of Education. Again, my name's Dr. Zanowski. I'm the proud principal of Gates Chili Middle School. I'm going to introduce a team of awesome students and educators here to present with me this evening, and we have some pretty exciting things to share from this school year. So to my right, I have Assistant Principal Mrs. Michelle Dozier. Miss Kenyela Rollins, and Mrs. Zalika Johnson. I have our social studies department leader and 7th and 8th grade teacher, Mrs. Sherry Spoto. I have our ELA department leader and 6th grade teacher, Mrs. Lisa Dorfy. I have students who you just saw receive an award for their outstanding accomplishments, Brielle Rosette and Milo Messina. In the crowd today, we have 2 individuals that contributed to a lot of the work that you're going to hear about. I want to make sure that they're recognized as well. Miss Katie Kuhn, the Director of Secondary Education, is in attendance, as well as Miss Dorothy Brennis. She's one of our 6th grade science teachers at Gates Chi-Lite Middle School. And so this evening, I want to show and demonstrate some highlights that we've had from this year and really talk about and present the work of a 2-month-long project and a reconfiguration analysis of Gates Chi-Lite Middle School. And then I'd like to end with a recommendation from the committee that worked for over 2 months for implementation for next school year.
Good evening. Gates Chi-Lite Middle School is proud to bring a tradition that so many Spartans love and participate in at the high school building, showing their Spartan pride. We held our first homecoming pep assembly for middle school students. Face painting, relay races, and community cheer-offs are just a few of the events that our Spartans came together and showed that once they are a Spartan, they will always be a Spartan. I would like to introduce Brielle.
Good evening, everyone. Everyone enjoyed the pep rally because it was the first time that we had one at the middle school. And since we only hear about it at the high school, we were very excited to have one of our own. Also, because we had the opportunity to participate with games such as relay races and tug of war, not to mention my community one. We also got the opportunity to cheer all of our friends on. And after we went home, for the pep rally, since it was towards the end of the day, all we could do was talk about it because of how great it was. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Next, we had our Kindness Week at Gates Chi-Lite Middle School, which is more than just a celebration. It's a movement to foster school pride, unity, and a positive culture for all. Throughout the week, students engaged in activities that promote compassion, inclusion, and teamwork, reinforcing the idea that kindness strengthens our community. By encouraging small acts of kindness, collaboration, and respect, we empower our students to take pride in their school and build a supportive environment where everybody feels valued. Here is Milo.
Oh, oops. So on the half day, we had a rotation between 3 different activities. For the first activity, we had a choice between kindness rocks, kindness cards, and kindness cubes. This gave us students some freedom to satisfy our interests. We also had a choice at the lunch station, where we got to try and rate new foods that could arrive on the lunch menu next year. The lunch station and the last station and my personal favorite was the board and card games, which were a way to build relationships. Gates Chi-Lite is all about building connections, and I believe the half day accomplished just that.
Hello, board. So another highlight from this year have been all the ways that we've started to implement the new code of conduct. So we did that in kind of 3 different ways. One was engagement of students. So in the beginning of the year, we hosted an open house, which was a little different than we've done in past years. And we really engaged families with the code of conduct by including games within the sessions that they could go to, where they could look at student, family, staff rights, as well as be able to figure out different strategies and things that they could do with their students around restorative practices. We also had students participate in lessons around the code of conduct, and they were able to show their understanding of the code of conduct and the different restorative practices that were embedded within it. Throughout the year, as we've worked with teachers and staff and our administrative team, we've really been doing a lot of mediations, we've been doing a lot of reentry meetings and really focusing on that restorative aspect of our code of conduct versus some of the more punitive dispositions as we've done in the past. So it's just been a really great way to engage students and families. As well as our ACA-Ben champions. So as you guys know, we've been working with why am I blinking? Dr. Muhammad, I'm sorry, I was trying to remember his first name, but Dr. Muhammad, and we've been doing our book study on the restorative journey, and some staff have participated in the middle school, 17 members exactly, in the ACA-Ben's Champions, working directly with his consulting group, with Iman Shabazz. I'm proud to be a member of that group as well, and we've been having a lot of one-on-one coaching sessions where we're really focusing our time on how we're implementing restorative practices within our day. We also meet as a group, and then we're also planning some collegial circles coming up to continue that knowledge building and to share that out with the rest of our staff. And then we've been really looking at data. Specifically in our admin team, we've been looking at suspension rates. We've been looking at, our referral data. We're disaggregating that, really focusing in on what the dispositions are and how we are working with our students with IEPs to ensure that we're supporting them in the best way. So we're really looking at that. We have the data, we're keeping track of it so that we can look at this summer about what we need to focus on for the next coming school year.
And now we'll move into the next couple slides where we're going to share the work of a 2-month-long process where we met for over an hour once a week as a team of educators in our building to start to have some conversations about the configuration of Gates Chili Middle School. For those that might not be aware, when I say configuration, we're referring to the community house structure in the middle school. Right now, the Red Wings, the Rhinos, and the Amerks, and the school within a school model that we currently operate under. Definitely has a lot of strengths and a lot of pros, but we wanted to have some conversations about if it was the best model to proceed forward with our current enrollment, our current demographics, and proceeding forward in the years to come.
So the way the process started is we had over 30 educators, which we would consider core team teachers as well as our encore teachers, our mental health staff, professionals, and our admin. And the interesting part was the first day that we came in, we just all kind of sat, and I had the pleasure of being seated with a brand new music teacher, a special ed teacher that's only been in the district for 2 years, our current E&L department leader who is on my team, my English partner who has the background of both working in the high school and the middle school, and then myself, the crypt, who's been a lifelong Gates Chili member, not only graduating in the class of '84, being able to start my career with Mr. Moscato's children, and then so myself. And the way that the committee was is each week you met with the same group. And we really met and worked over that hour and sometimes longer than the hour, really making sure that we were looking at research-based and making the best decisions possible. For someone who has been in the district for a really long time, I've seen every configuration that has been around. And so I really felt not only vested in this as my career is coming to a close in the not-so-distant future, but also helping the new staff, right, have a say in how the building goes. So I have very big pride, obviously, in the middle school. So the background, obviously, we were at one point a 4-community team with our connections to our Rochester sports teams. But due, obviously, to the lack of enrollment and the decreased enrollment, we are now at a 2.5 team. I have the pleasure of being on that half team that does get to loop with their students for 7th and 8th grade, and I wouldn't change that for the world. I was also on the committee when we went out to look at the school within the school. And as we went to look for our original charge to try to figure out what would be the best way to connect not only staff, but make those connections with all the stakeholders, and especially our students. What has begun to happen and where some of us on the older end of the spectrum really brought up to Dr. Z is, are we really offering our students the best that we can at the middle school. And I think a lot of us came up with the same answer, that there is something better. One of the things, of course, is the uneven access to programs, and sometimes a perception and a negative perception by the community of those communities. I'm going to take pride in the fact that I am on that half community that sometimes the public thinks is the dumb community, because we don't have enriched, we don't have accelerated. But I can tell you that the rigor, I think, in our building amongst all of the communities is exceptional. But where I want to see the improvement, and where many of us want to see the improvement, is the ability for students to be able to have different classes. We are offering electives now. I'm proud of our civics electives. We have different electives. We want kids to be able to move between those and have better opportunities. So that's really what the historical context is of why we want this.
As we began the work, we focused ourselves on determining if our current community model meets our current needs. Our objectives included equal access to programming, safe student and staff movement with a focus on congestion, strong Tier 1 instruction that includes collaboration among staff, and equity for students throughout the building. As our work continued, we wanted to ensure all population groups were able to access the programming to support their needs. We did this by examining enrollment data, achievement data, and programming data as shown here. We investigated further elective courses, including accelerated and enriched, number of study halls individual students have, and access to all exploratory classes.
Good evening. So as the committee came together, we were really charged with answering a couple of questions. Does a configuration promote equitable opportunities for all our students? Will it help to reduce the achievement gaps? And how does this allow for intervention and access? So as the team came together, these were alternatives that were all evaluated by the team to be able to try to answer those purpose statements. We went through, and regardless of whether or not you leaned one way or another, everyone was able to give their data to support each one of these models and evaluate it effectively to determine whether or not it would benefit our configuration. So we looked at the status quo, our current model of 2.5 communities, a balanced 3 community model, a grade level configuration, a grade level configuration with embedded teams, a department-based configuration, a hybrid model with grade 6 core teams and grade 7-8 department-based teams. And as my colleagues have shared, we used input from not only the members that were on the committee, but also reached out to neighboring school districts to try to find a model that would best meet our needs at Gates Chili Middle School. As a team came together and were able to evaluate, again, the contributing factors as to which direction we would move in, we really tried to make sure that, again, we took a scientific and a data-based approach. So we dove into those qualitative responses, the feeling of how this new structure would continue to make sure that our teachers have an opportunity to collaborate, and how we're going to be able to continue to support students, and then the data-based approach. So looking at each one of the determining factors and having each member of the committee complete a survey where they were able to input how they felt that we were meeting these objectives.
And I'll emphasize one more time that every individual member of the community was able to, or of the committee, was able to weigh in with like an individual input form. And you see the results of the alternative that was ultimately selected by the committee on the screen. I know the font's a little small, but really the point of this is where you see orange and dark orange, those are favorable responses. Where you see blue, that's unfavorable responses. The committee was almost unanimous in their recommendation that Gage Chili Middle School move to a configuration model of grade levels with embedded teams for the 25-26 school year. The embedded teams portion of this is very similar to how we're operating now with the teaming, making sure that students have consistent teachers, that the teachers have common planning times where they can have conversations about the students. Hey, we heard this is going on. Hey, we noticed that so-and-so needs a little bit more support in this area. Have you tried this with this student? Because I really found that that worked in my class and I had a breakthrough with that. So keeping the teaming structure was really important to all of the members on the committee. In addition to the SEL benefits that teaming has, this configuration will allow us to address some scheduling efficiencies. It will create more equitable access to programs. We're hoping we're able to grow our accelerated and enriched program across the middle school because of this new configuration. This is going to improve student and staff collaboration. It's going to ensure age-appropriate and consistent Tier 1 practices. All the 6th graders will be in the same hallway, all the 7th graders will be in the same hallway, and all of the teachers that teach those grade levels in those subject areas will be there with the students all day long. We're anticipating that this will reduce student congestion in the building with how we're able to offer electives and where our scheduling might get bottlenecked in certain areas, specifically in lunches and also in some exploratory classes with music and PE offerings. And then we're really hoping coming out of this that this new configuration is a chance to strengthen our school identity and make sure that our students go to high school understanding that they are Spartans, all part of one community, and contributing to make the school community as great as it could be. So we're hoping that for the rest of this spring, we'll continue planning and engaging stakeholders in the recommendation of this committee. We still have to form some subcommittees to make sure that we still have distributed leadership and thinking through all the different nuances of the decisions that need to be made. We asked all the committee members if they would like to continue on with subcommittees, and once the subcommittees are formed, we're going to continue to involve our educators, our mental health staff, and our building administration to help us make those decisions, and as well to engaging stakeholders and communicating this to the community at large, that when we come back to school in the fall, it's going to be the same great staff, the same great vibes, but we're just going to be organized a little bit differently in the building. And then having and offering some informational sessions for the community, for parents and for students if they'd like to attend so that they understand what they're walking into in September. Over the summer, we want to take advantage of the time to make sure that our schedule and structural adjustments are checked, triple checked, and quadruple checked for the new configuration, that we have an opportunity to balance enrollment and make sure that the needs of all of our students are being met, as well as teachers physically moving classrooms in the building to accommodate a new sense of communities with a focus on grade level and Tier 1 practices moving forward. We are anticipating to open the building next school year in the fall of 2025 with this new configuration intact. So with that, I'd like to take any questions that the board may have.
Hi, thank you. Will the process to determine students' recommendation for accelerated or enriched classes be discussed as well?
Yes, ma'am. We just started a series of 4 meetings. We're meeting 4 weeks in a row. And we're developing a process that any student who qualifies will be able to offer this programming to, as opposed to having a limited number of seats in the program because there were only so many sections available on one community and so many sections on the other. We're hoping to kind of flip the script and create as many accelerated classes as our students qualify for. Our teacher leaders, our counselors, and our building administrators are identifying data points right now and making sure that we have a representative array of data points so that we're not just basing students' entrance into this program on one, making sure that there's multiple and that they're an accurate representation of our students' abilities.
Thank you.
Done.
Thank you guys so much.
Very well done.
You guys are also welcome to stay, or you're welcome to go home and have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much for all the time you dedicated tonight to be here. Our next report is our student ex officio update.
Good afternoon. I'm going to start off with the high school's highly anticipated seniors versus faculty basketball game. The senior versus faculty basketball games are one of the most original Gates Tri traditions, and we are lucky to still be continuing the strong tradition today. And unfortunately, I can't provide any support for my fellow seniors since we were just crushed in the latest games this year. But nevertheless, it was great to see all the Spartan pride from all the grade levels. In addition to the games, the high school had its senior week, where the week consisted of days such as anything as a backpack day or dressing as yourself 10 years in the future, which were big hits for our seniors. And my report today is short and sweet, so that will be it today. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucas. Nice job. We now have our capital project update.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to congratulate you all on the beginning of the month passing of the Future Ready project. Congratulations. Getting into the Building Brighter Future project, in phase 1, we had major progress at the middle school this month. We had ceilings painted, and then the classrooms walls painted, the wall tiling going up in the hallways, flooring in all of the classrooms, and the hallways are ongoing right now, and then doors and hardware. The fax moved in at the end of January, and then the high school technology, we installed some exterior doors and windows. Our plumbing contractor continued to work at the high school. This is going to be a theme for the next couple of months. And then at the middle school, started installing and finished the drinking fountains and the air reels in the technology classrooms. Our mechanical continued working on punch list in the fax space, and then continued to start to install ductwork at the high school technology space. Middle school technology, they completed all of the ductwork there. The only pieces remaining are just the diffusers, which distribute the air. And then the dust collector system is nearing completion in the middle school technology space. Electrical work, continued punch list and fax, that's nearing completion. Middle school technology lighting, hallways and classrooms are done, and then power was completed at the beginning of the month as well. And then high school tech, power and lighting is ongoing there as well. Phase 2, happy to finally report some actual progress in this phase. We've been talking about it for a long time now. Our site work contractor, they completed the staging area at the Florence Brasser Elementary School. They installed the storm line along or across from the middle school. That was over the February break last week. And then the fields, they've continued to strip topsoil, and they will be starting to import fill in the next month. Our general contractor, they completed demolition of the OTPT space, which is in the back of Florence Brasser, where the old gym storage was, and then there was some abatement there that was also completed last week when students were not present. The main office, the building facade is demoed, and they're going to be starting the installation of the foundations for the new small addition in that space. Plumbing work, minor, but the faculty room, prep work there for the new sink in that space. Mechanical work, similar scenario, and then at the main office, they're starting their layouts. And electrical, the big one here is they're starting to plan the lighting for the fields. At the last meeting, we awarded the contract for the stadium lighting, so the electrical contractor, Blackman Farrell, will be the one bringing power to all of those lights. Looking ahead, high school technology, we've had some rough weather the past month, as I'm sure you all are aware. So we've not been able to pour that slab yet, and along with the roof, but that is turning a corner, and we look to do that in March. Ductwork finishing up in the woodworking rooms, and then the initial lighting in the woodworking rooms. The middle school, in the month of March, we're looking to do the fire inspection, punch list, and then the odds and ends, and then at the end of the month, start the process of moving the technology, health, and art departments in. Phase 2, Florence Brasser, completing the addition foundations for the main office, and then just continued general demolition in the OTPT and faculty room space. Middle school, there's a lot of storm drainage that is associated with the middle school fields. That will be ongoing. And then, as I mentioned previously, they're going to start bringing the fields up. That whole space will be coming up at least a couple of feet. Overview of the budget, Phase 1 contracts has not changed. We are up to 63% billed for this work. Phase 2 contracts, after the recommendation for later in this meeting for the scoreboards, this will be our final expected number for public contracts, $16,133,887. And then that leaves our contingency at $1.7 million. Between the two phases, we have $570,000 in allowances. Of that, we've expended about $142,000. Some photos. This is the exterior windows and doors at the high school technology space. New doors. Another shot of inside one of the woodworking rooms. This is a shot of part of the curved wall in the middle school technology space. This is more of a common area. This will lead straight into the main street of the fax and library of the middle school. There's the skylight that we had previously mentioned at other meetings. A general shot of the field. If you've driven in, you'll notice the large mounds of dirt. Those will steadily be removed and new material brought in. And then some general demolition photos of Florence Brasser. Are there any questions? Yes.
Quick question. So I know you're doing the water line work across
Yes.
the middle school, and I don't know if I think we discussed this before. Is that going to be a sidewalk?
Yes.
At the end? Okay.
Correct, with a retaining wall.
It'll match up with the other one.
Yes, that is the goal, I think, for many years coming.
Kids can now walk from the high school straight down on that side.
Any other questions?
Can I throw
Yeah.
one comment?
Go right ahead.
I'm
It
just going
says
to say that this is a great time where we're at with construction and different phases of it. I would encourage you to encourage your staff to get some of the kids, because I'm here to solicit, we need children getting into the professions. Great time to encourage them, to bring them to us, to Joe, to my team. We'd love to help take kids around and show them what we do. We need staff. So thank you.
We did
Awesome,
host a
thank
couple of
you.
tours at the high school technology space as well, back in the late fall. The Mike G. Lombardo's class came through and did a couple of walkthroughs, and I think those students learned a lot.
Great.
Yeah. Anytime.
Thank you guys so much.
Great job.
All right, that moves us forward to our property tax cap, school bus purchase proposition, and finance facilities and audit update.
Good evening, Superintendent Daley, President Coffey, and the distinguished Gates Child Board of Education. I'm here to quickly give a budget update in the form of the property tax levy limit calculation and also the bus purchase proposition information. With that, get right into the tax levy limit calculation again. This is a calculation that was put forth through legislation in 2010. And this, we've been working under this legislation since then, all school districts across New York State. With that, we started a base of 2%. And so what does that mean is that if CPI, the Consumer Price Index, which is an index of cost of goods and materials and services, in the prior year is above 2%, we actually start at a base of 2%. If it's lower, we start at the lower number. So if CPI in the prior year was 1.5, then we start at 1.5, and then we calculate some additional what are called exclusions off of that base. And so for last year's CPI-U, which is what we're talking about, that was at 2.9%, which means we started a base of 2%. And then from there are a few things that are exclusions to the tax cap. One of them being capital costs, so costs for our debt service, so our mortgage payments on our construction work, debt service on our bus purchases, and then it's reduced in terms of our aid, and so the washout number for the district from last year to this year, a reduction of about $2,000 in that exclusion. And then in addition to that, there's some other exclusions, one of them being pilots. I did want to mention, I have up there the tax-based growth factor. The tax-based growth factor is a metric that the state uses to assess how much growth has happened in a community. And for us, there was not a whole lot of commercial residential property growth. And so we're at 1, which means there's no associated increase in taxation on the tax levy limit calculation associated with property wealth growth. So one of those other exclusions, again, is pilots, payments in lieu of taxes. These are negotiated agreements through the county, COMITA. And so that's an industrial agency that works with businesses, that tries to attract businesses to Monroe County, and so they get tax abatements. And so those are not part of the tax rolls, not part of the levy. So when one of those things is added or reduced through COMITA, then it impacts our tax levy limit calculation. And the thinking there is that if one of those pilot agreements ends, most of them are around 10 years in Monroe County, that those properties and their assessments would come back onto the rolls, and then we would then assess taxes to those properties that we were getting pilot payments before. So when they do come back onto the rolls, it doesn't mean when the total value of assessment goes up or the total value of what we collect goes up, we're just supplementing one for the other, so it doesn't actually affect tax rates. So that being said, there is some conversation between the district and the town of Chili and the county right now around one of those specific pilots. This tax cap calculation is due on Saturday, March 1st, this coming Saturday. There is some conversation between the two of us about what one of those pilots specifically, and that's over on Jetview Drive in Chili, whether or not that will be expiring or not. And so depending on whether or not it expires, Superintendent Daly and I are meeting with them on Thursday to have a conversation about whether it's expiring. It will impact that final tax levy limit calculation. So with that, it depends on where we end up with Jetview. Those are the two numbers with and without Jetview in the calculation specifically. The estimated increase would be somewhere between 2.2 and 2.5. Normally at this phase of the game, we have an idea of exactly what that number is going to be, what that calculation is that we submit, but we still need to finish up those conversations because we were just recently made aware this week that that pilot may be expiring. Additionally, we'll update the board at a future presentation regarding what that actual final tax levy limit calculation number is. In terms of the purchase of buses, as you know, this board has been in place for some time. We have a 6-year bus replacement schedule, and we typically replace 14 to 15 buses, and we have nearly 90 school buses here in the district. So we do have a sweet spot for replacing buses. It's about 6 years. 6 years is when there's a crossover between the value of trading it in and the cost of keeping the bus in terms of maintenance costs related to the bus. And so we try and trade buses right around 6 years so that we can get the highest value for our buses before we start to have those major mechanical issues. We're looking to replace 7 66-passenger diesel engine buses, 5 35-passenger buses, and then 2 35-passenger buses that have wheelchair lifts. We're not looking to purchase any electric school buses going into next year. We do anticipate by the end of this school year, we will have received the additional 10 electric school buses. We'll have 15 in our fleet by June 30th. At this time, based on the incentives that are available to us and the cost associated with those buses, if you don't have those incentives, we're not looking to purchase any more at this time. Estimated trade-in value of those buses is about $200,000. These are bus replacement costs per category. We're looking to purchase 7 66-passenger buses for about $1.2 million, 5 35-passenger buses for $807,000, and then 2 35-passenger wheelchair 35-passenger buses. Total bus to be replaced 14. Total cost about $2.2 million, which is in line with what our bus purchases have been in prior years, our kind of net cost. after aid and incentives. In prior years, like last year, for instance, we had a $5 million bus purchase, but a significant portion of that was offset by NYSERDA grants. Being as these are not electric school buses, that number will go back to prior year numbers, which is right around the $2 to $2.2 million mark. Again, we get about 75 cents back from the state on the dollar for these expenses, and we would anticipate that would be the same going into future years. One quick thing I want to point out is that we're fairly far into our zero-based budgeting process. As you know, we build a budget from the bottom up. We are fairly far into that process. We've generally figured out most of the materials, supplies, services. We're currently working collaboratively on the staffing plan, and we'll have future updates for you in the next couple of board meetings. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much.
All right. Moving on, that's not mine. Moving on to the Finance Facility and Audit Committee meeting update. The meeting was on February 10th. We talked about the risk assessment audit report. Members of Fried-Matzek were in attendance. We talked a little bit about focusing for next year on purchasing and cash disbursements. In this prior year, we had focused on the tech areas, and next year we're going to look at purchasing and cash disbursements. In terms of finance, we talked about the P card, which is a way for us to generate some value off of our purchases in terms of essentially rewards. We talked a little bit about the budgeting process. We shared some information on the expiring Wegmans pilot. That's why another reason why we're having that meeting on Thursday is to talk about the expiring Wegmans pilot. We talked in terms of capital projects about the Building Brighter Futures project and just provided a general update. You had a more robust update this evening. We talked about the Future Ready project, just talking a little bit about the successful vote and the passage rate. We shared some information on the process relating to comprehensive long-range planning study. Mr. Daly and I are continuing on that process, and we're meeting with consultants via Zoom this Friday, so we should have more information on that in future meetings. And then we had a solar update noting that we were looking to have a meeting with Senator Cooney. We are meeting with Senator Cooney next Monday, Senator Cooney's office, I should say, next Monday to share our concerns relating the funding of solar projects, because as you know, we're very interested in moving forward with our solar project that would take the district essentially, or make us essentially grid independent. Although we'd still be connected to the grid, it would be a net neutral scenario that would save us significant cost and obviously consider the environment as well. Are there any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
All right, next we have our policy committee update.
We had a meeting, and we had a couple policies that came through that are classic that you have to do from our policy service. The first one being board members nomination election, and second, the notification of disclosure of employee disciplinary records if foiled. So we, the committee recommended waiving the first reading, going to the second to have, but that'll be later in action items.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, thank you. That moves us now towards our consensus items agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consensus agenda? Ms. Kais, Mr. Long, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve consensus items C through I? Can I have a motion? Ms. Littlewood? Mr. Banowski, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous.
I should have said waive the second reading, not waive the first reading. You have to read it first. You can't read it second.
Thank you for going back and pointing that out. I appreciate the thought.
I just want it to be clear. Thank you.
It is important. Thank
Okay.
you. All right, that moves us on to our action items. Can I have a motion to waive the second reading, not the first, the second reading of policy 1210 and policy 3311? Can I have a motion? Mr. Long, Ms. Littlewood, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve policy number 1210 and policy number 3311? Ms. Jennings, Ms. Urbanowski, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve the contract number 208 scoreboards bid to Tufts Sports? Can I have a motion? Ms. Littlewood, Mr. Long, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve the MOA between GCPLC and the Gates Chi Transportation Union regarding bus drivers effective July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027? Can I have a motion? Ms. Urbanowski, Ms. Davis, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve the MOA between GCPLC and the GC Teachers Association regarding teacher leader new structure for 2025-2026? Can I have a motion? Ms. Jennings, Ms. Davis, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve the transportation contract regular school year with Monroe 1 BOCES 2023-2024? Have a motion? Mr. Long, Ms. Kais, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. Can I have a motion to approve the transportation contract regular school year with Monroe 1 BOCES 2024-2025? Can I have a motion? Ms. Kais, Ms. Littlewood, any discussion? All in favor? The vote is unanimous. That moves us forward to superintendent's comments.
I'd like to start off tonight by congratulating our Gates Chi girls indoor track and field, the entire team, on winning a sectional championship title last week. In addition to being overall Class A2 champs, many student athletes had impressive individual and relay performances. In addition, our boys indoor track and field came in second by 1 point. They also had quite a showing last Thursday as well. So congratulations to all our Spartans on that hard-fought season. And thank you to the Gates first responders for making the return to campus so special with a fire truck escort organized by Chief Long. Our Spartans have several other sectional appearances this week. Tonight, the girls' basketball is at Hilton. Tomorrow, our boys' bowling has theirs. Friday is girls' bowling. And on Saturday, our boys' basketball plays at Pittsford-Mendon. So good luck to all our Spartan athletes. And even though we're ending the winter season, it's time for spring sports sign-up. So don't forget to sign up your Spartans for spring athletics. It is open now with varsity and JV sports beginning in a couple of weeks and modified starting at the end of March. And as referred to earlier, if you've entered our main campus using the south entrance on Buffalo Road this week, you may have noticed that crews are working on portions of Spartan Way near our middle school. As you heard during our construction update tonight, this work will soon result in a safer place for our students to walk. The new Spartan Way sidewalk will be a welcome addition to keep walkers safer on campus and is expected to be completed later this year. And we continue to inch upward in our Parent Square active users, with approximately 74% of all district parents and guardians now having activated their account to stay up to date with their students' school news and events. As we continue to dive deeper into our users, we see this actually reflects about 92% of all students. Meanwhile, our new district websites are currently under construction. You may remember reading that we will be moving to a new site later this year hosted by, I know you're not going to believe this, Parent Square. In addition to a streamlined appearance and easier navigation, this new website will seamlessly integrate with our communications platform. We'll share more about that project in the coming months. Each year, the New York State Education Department reviews school and district performance to determine areas where support may be needed. For our 24-25 school year, Paul Road Elementary School has been identified for targeted support and improvement based on the performance of students with disabilities subgroup. As a result, Gates Chi has been designated as a target district as well, which means that while we are performing well in many areas, the state has identified this specific student subgroup that needs additional support to demonstrate proficiency on our 3 through 8 New York State assessments. It's important to note that being designated in this way does not mean the school is failing. It means we have an opportunity to enhance our existing efforts to support our student success. And as you know, Paul Road is home to a majority of our specialized classes at that age. This designation allows us to access additional resources, such as grant funding, to ensure every student has what they need to thrive. And speaking of our youngest students, kindergarten registration is now open for the 25-26 school year. Families with students who are turning 5 years old by December 1st, 2025 can go to gateschild.org/kindergarten to begin the registration process. Completed registration forms and accompanying documents should be submitted by Friday, February 28th by emailing the completed packet to the district registrar or dropping off the completed packet at our Gates Chi district office. Also, Gates Chi's Universal Pre-Kindergarten Program Lottery is now open. UPK is an exploratory program that teaches kindergarten readiness, early math, and literacy skills. To apply for the program, students must be 4 years old by December 1st, 2025, and residents of our district. Online lottery applications are available through Friday, March 7th. Visit gateschi.org/UPK for more information. And get ready and mark your calendars because you will not want to miss the Gates Chi High School musical performance of Mary Poppins. Featuring a talented cast of crew of Spartans, this enchanting production will bring the magic of Cherry Tree Lane to life with spectacular music, dazzling choreography, and unforgettable storytelling at the Gates Chi Performing Arts Center from March 21st through 23rd. Tickets become available March 1st. And speaking of people who are practically perfect, on behalf of the faculty, staff, and administration here in Gates Chi, I want to take a moment to thank Mr. Moscato for his dedication and service to the students, staff, and community of GC. As you heard tonight, Mr. Moscato will not be running for re-election. We are certainly grateful for the 22 years he has served as a member of our Board of Education. We will formally celebrate his service at our end-of-year meeting in June. And finally, I want to close out my notes tonight by acknowledging the loss of Officer Cameron Gervin, a 2017 graduate of Gates Chi High School. Cameron, who was serving as a police officer in Virginia Beach, Virginia, was killed in the line of duty this weekend. He dedicated his life to serving and protecting others, and his loss is deeply felt by our Spartan community. Could we now pause for a moment of silence in his honor? Thank you. That is my report, President Coffey.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting. Ms. Kais, Mr. Long, any discussion? All in favor? Vote is unanimous. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.